What's up, everyone? Thrift Barringer here. Richard Holdridge, your voices for Inside the GIAA, live on GIAA.tv, the GIAA Facebook page, YouTube channel. And we are presented by the Beck Center, where we do all our live shows. We got another great night in store for you here. Big Rich, what is going on, man?
Oh, man, another great Wednesday night of talking GIAA sports. I mean, we've got championships underway, the regular season in baseball wrapping up this week, and the regular season in soccer. We will know the brackets next week for the soccer and baseball playoffs. And we've already got some champions crowned in team tennis and golf.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. By the way, we're going to have on two guys that help lead those team tennis state championship. Right. Carter McKenzie from William & Reed, he'll be on later on in the show. And then Derek Lashley of FPD will be on. So looking forward to talking to both of them. We are, again, presented by the Beck Center of Academic and Athletic Success. Thank you to the Beck Center and Roger Beck for allowing us to be here and everything they do and sponsoring all of GIAA athletics. And we appreciate them. We appreciate Clint Morgan, Kent Copeland, Tony Morgan, Stan Whitlock, and the rest for allowing us to do this endeavor, as we say every single week. And we are ready to rock and roll. So today's show, after this intro, we'll have a quick break. And when we come back from that break, we're going to talk baseball rankings, update you on 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A. This is the last week of the regular season, and we're already in playoffs. Are you kidding me, man? Unbelievable.
I can't believe it. And we are just about a month away from the baseball championships at Synovus Park right here in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of fun being there. By the way, I just literally left Synovus Park. I'll be filling in for the Clingstones announcer, which is the AA affiliate of the Braves that's here right here in Columbus, Georgia at the Synovus Park. And I will be filling in for Jack Johnson many times. So looking forward to being on the call on Thursday and kind of set the stage for me when May 29th to the 31st comes. And we got the baseball state championships there, Richard. I know you won't be there because of some work duties. You are a military guy, but you will be calling the soccer state championships at Stratford. That should be a lot of fun as well. But we'll talk about the baseball rankings. Then Richard was able to earlier today pre-record a segment with Ian Jones. Coach Ian Jones, he's the boys coach for Stratford. You talked all things soccer with him. It was a really good segment. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Then we'll have Derek Lashley and Carter McKenzie, two state championship winning tennis coaches, and we'll wrap it up. So we also have an opportunity to talk about those state champions. So when that segment comes up after soccer, we'll talk about who won tennis, who won golf, and everything else happened in the GIAA. And what do we got coming up here in the not-too-distant future? Next week, we got track and field. Actually, that's this weekend. We got track and field and stuff. Actually starts tomorrow. So, wow. Kent Copeland and Clint Morgan have been living on the road recently, doing all these things. Tommy Marshall is as well, the commissioner. So can't wait for that. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back from break, we will get into those baseball rankings on Georgia Independent Athletic Association right after this.
GIAA.tv now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.tv Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.tv Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.tv Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.tv Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.tv Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.tv.
The only place I go is GIAAsports.org right behind us.
That's right.
You want access to these rankings that we're talking about, you go to GIAAsports.org. You click on the sports tab. Once you click on that, you will see baseball. Once you click on baseball, it'll take you to the baseball area and tab. Once you do that, click on rankings. Once you click on rankings, it will then take you to 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A, and you just click on them and have fun with all of it. This does, and then you can do that for soccer when those start. and the brackets that are going to come out after this weekend for baseball. GIAAsports.org is the name of the website. And the way to watch all things GIAA, Richard?
That would be on GIAA.tv.
Make sure you go there. All right, Rich, throw it up. Let's talk about them. Let's first start with, as you'll get there we go, as we'll first start with the 1A classification, Rich. And number one, who we had on last week.
Those Flint River Wildcats.
Wildcats. 15-2 on the year. Number two, Citizens Christian. They go to they're 15-7. Grace Christian is 12-6, followed by David Emmanuel at 15-5. Robert Toombs at 8-8, and Richard finished out the top 10.
All right, number 6, we got Westwood, followed by Vidalia Heritage at number 7. Number 8, Thomas Jefferson, and number 9, Atlanta Jewish, followed by Covenant Academy at number 10.
And Richard, if you look at outside the top 10, because remember, 12 teams will make the playoffs this year, and looking at outside the top 10 in the 1A classification, number 11 that would make the playoffs is FPCA, which is First Preparatory Christian Academy, followed by Heritage Preparatory and Crisp Academy, Fullington, John Hancock, and Twiggs on the outside. So Heritage and First Preparatory would be in the playoffs right now. And the teams that are getting byes, Flint River, Citizens Christian, Grace Christian, and David Emmanuel. Let's go to 2A, Richard. Start us off.
All right, the number 1 team is the defending 2A champions. That is Gatewood with an 18-8 record, followed by Southwest Georgia Academy out of Damascus with an 18-1 record. And then we've got Edmund Burke at number 3, 14-2 on the season. Trinity Christian out of Dublin with a 17-6 record. Look at Heritage, 8-13. You know, they got a big 2-game series with Calvary Christian, which is a 4A school. But Heritage, which was a 3A school last season, went down to 2A. If you look at their record, they still play a lot of 3A and 4A schools. That's why that record is deceiving, because they are one of the top teams led by former Atlanta Braves catcher Johnny Estrada. The Heritage Hawks could make a deep run in the AA playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Richard. So you're seeing the top 10 outside Holy Spirit Prep and Augusta Prep Day would be in the playoffs right now.
And by the way, we didn't round out. I was going to let you try to do 6 through 10.
Yeah, 6 through Georgia, followed by, sorry, Richard, that was on me. Georgia Christian, Rock Springs, New Gap School. Number 8, Brentwood. Number 9, Westminster Christian. And number 10, Southland. To round out the top 12, making the playoffs, Holy Spirit Prep and Augusta Prep Day. Briarwood and Central Fellowship right there. Briarwood is neck and neck with Augusta Prep
That's
Day.
right.
So we'll see how the rest of the season, not rest of the season, really, the rest of this week plays out to see who will make the playoffs. The top 4 teams that would get a bye: Trinity Christian, Edmund Burke, Southwest Georgia Academy, and Gatewood would be all getting first round byes. Now let's move on to 3A classification. And Pinewood is ranked number 1, followed by Dominion Christian, Frederica Academy, and John Millage are the top 4. They would get byes. Number 5 is Deerfield Windsor. And the rest of the top 10, Rich.
All right, at number 6, Westfield School, 11-12, but they are in a region with a bunch of 4A teams. So that's why they are ranked 6th in 3A, because their record reflects they played a lot of tough opponents. Followed by Piedmont at 12-10, Valwood out of Valdosta at number 8, Tift Area Academy at number 9, and Lakeview Academy round out the top 10.
And then in number 11 and 12 spot, Terrell Academy and Brookwood.
Terrell Academy is the defending 3A champions.
And right now they're in the playoffs. Outside Westminster Schools of Augusta and St. Andrews are the 14 teams. Remember, 12 of them will then make the playoffs. Now to the 4A classification. It's been a battle between FPD and Brookstone all year, but right now FPD 25-3. They have been absolutely sensational all year long. They have the best rating. Now, they don't have the toughest strength of schedule. That belongs to Calvary, but they have the best rating so far, Richard, and they've been great all season long. Remember, they made it to the state championship game last year. Remember, they got an all-star player in Keon Johnson. That guy probably going to get drafted. Between him and Brennan Neal of Brookstone, those two are probably – and by the way, Keon Johnson's a junior. Neil is only a sophomore.
Wow.
I promise you. And next year for Keon, 2 years for Neil, not only they're going to be getting looked at by Division I schools, but they're probably going to be drafted as well. So number 1, FPD. Number 2, Brookstone. Number 3, Tatnall Square, a historically great baseball program there in Macon. Number 4, Bethlehem Christian, followed by number 5, which is the Calvary Christian Knights. Now, looking at the rankings, Calvary right there, not far behind Bethlehem at 16 and 12. So if Calvary can pick up a big win against Heritage on Friday, Richard, I could easily see this team doing some big things. And if they can beat Heritage on Friday and Saturday. Rich.
I actually do like just the way the seeding goes. The first 4 teams are going to get the bye. Calvary would host, and it's looking like they would take on the Kings Academy, which would be a rematch of the GAPS Championship. I think if Calvary can get by the Kings Academy, that sets up for a pretty unique second-round matchup against FPD. And, the sky's the limit because I think Calvary's playing their best baseball right now. FPD's got a very good record at 25-3. But you also got to remember, they've also played a tough schedule. Tatnall is in their region. And I think that it's setting up for just fantastic playoff finish. But rounding out the top 10, Athens Christian, new to the GIAA, coming from the GHSA, 18-4 record. But, they haven't really played tough opponents. That's why they're ranked number 6. Also new to the GIAA is Tallulah Falls at 14-8. They would probably get matched up with Pacelli in the first round. Bullock Academy, that's a typo. That's actually number 8. They will be taking on Stratford Academy at number 9. And then Pacelli at number 10. And then right behind Pacelli is Strong Rock, which, by the way, Strong Rock beat Pacelli in Locust Grove, and Pacelli's going to play Strong Rock for a doubleheader on Friday.
Which will be huge. And if Strong Rock is able to take the series, they will be up number 10, and Pacelli may be moving to 11. Kings Academy is number 12, and George Walton and Mount DeSales are on the outside looking in. There are 17 teams. And looking at really the biggest movers and shakers, because in my opinion, if you're not in the top 4, you want to be 5 through 8 because you get to host the first round. So I think the biggest thing, Bullock Academy is, I don't see them slipping, to be honest with you, and falling past 8. So they're going to host. They may even jump to Tallulah Falls, but it doesn't really matter. If you're 5, 6, 7, or 8, you're still going to be hosting, and you're still going to be on the road in the second round. It really depends on who you're going to be playing. So I don't see anything from 8, 9. That's the one I've been looking at. And 4, 5, because that decides who's hosting and who's getting that first round and having to play in the first round, who's getting a bye, Bethlehem Christian right now is ahead of Calvary. They got one more game against Riverside, who is not a great baseball team this year. They're 1-21. I think Bethlehem's going to beat them. And I don't know if Calvary, even if they beat Heritage twice, I don't know if the calculator is going to say that that's enough to help have them jump over Bethlehem Christian. But you never know. But when talking with Steve Smith, I think he pretty much prefers staying at number 5 and getting that first round. He don't want to have a 2-week layoff and then go on to the next round. So here is your top 10. Bethlehem Christian, Tatnall Square, Brookstone, FPD would all have first-round buys. And Strong Rock Christian and the Kings Academy, who are not on this list, they, Richard, would be on the outside. They will be in the playoffs. George Walton is on the outside looking in. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that we're going to take a quick break. When we get back from break, Richard had an interview earlier today with Ian Jones. After that, we'll come back and we'll talk about how the tennis and golf state championships fared out, what we got coming up, and then we got some good interviews with FPD's tennis coach Derek Lashley and William Marie tennis coach Carter McKenzie here on Inside the GIAA on GIAA.
This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.tv, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV.
And welcome back to Inside the GIAA. And as always, we have our soccer correspondent. He is the head boys soccer coach at Stratford Academy. Please welcome to Inside the GIAA, Coach Ian Jones.
Hi, thanks, Richard, for having us on again this week. I really appreciate it. And again, I appreciate all the coverage you guys are providing for soccer.
I tell you what, Coach, I really enjoy your soccer knowledge. As the regular season is going to wrap up on Saturday, we're going to actually have brackets out next week. We're going to find out where all 3 of the classifications for both the boys and the girls are going to be. And, you know, I know the goal is to get to your home place, Stratford Academy. That's where all classifications of the GIAA State Championship is going to be held May the 27th through the 28th. Coach, we're going to start with 4A because obviously your team right now is ranked 2nd. They are the defending GIAA champions, but you got Tallulah Falls, brand new to the GIAA, coming over from the GHSA with a 16-1 record, and they are the number 1 seed. I know that you talk about scheduling tough opponents just so you can have the best strength of schedule. Are you satisfied with the position of where your team is at, and how far can this Stratford Academy team go?
You know, I'm pleased with where we're at in the rankings. I mean, I think Tallulah Falls have earned that rank, the rank of number 1. I mean, they've had the opportunity to play some different competition that we've been able to. Our region or district, we do a home and away, so that's 10 of our games, and so when we're creating our schedule, certainly we try to create play some strong opponents, and that's what we've done this year. With the likes of Mary Persons, Harris County, Westminster out of Augusta, and a few other smaller, some of the other stronger teams outside of our classification. So Tallulah Falls, I mean, without a doubt, they are a state title contender, and certainly they're certainly one of, I think, 4 or 5 teams that certainly will be playing for the state championship on the 28th, I believe.
All right, Coach. Well, let's go to the 4A girls, because Stratford Academy is sitting there at number 2, and their head coach is Coach Kate Blankenship. Is that correct?
Yeah, Coach Kate. She's a graduate of Stratford Academy, just like myself, and so she is. She's done a tremendous job with the girls program this year, and they've played a tough schedule. When her and I worked together in regards to making the schedule, and she's played a tough and non-region schedule, which is one reason why they sit where they're at. Yes, they split with FPD during the regular season, but again, strength of schedule I think has played a major factor why they're number 2. And and they're ahead of Kings Academy and FPD right now.
Yeah, and one thing about the 4A girls, you got the defending champions sitting there at number 1, the Pacelli Vikings out of Columbus. But right now, the Stratford girls ranked number 2. I mean, how exciting would it be for just the campus not only to host the GIAA Soccer Championships, but to have the Stratford girls and boys both in the championship?
Well, I mean, obviously, we hope that we're both going to be there. Certainly that would be extremely exciting for the Stratford community. That a lot of work's going to happen between now and then for that to happen. And Coach Kate and I, we're very, very grounded people. We're humble about where we're at, and and that's what we try to preach to our players is to stay humble. You don't want to teeter on the line of overconfidence because that's usually when you slip. And so I think we'll be grounded as we go throughout the playoffs. The key right now is to get through the next basically about 2.5 weeks before we play our quarterfinal match. Make sure the kids are focused. Use it some time for some mental recovery as well as physical recovery. And because again, we got a lot of things going on, especially with our seniors graduating on May 17th. So there's a lot of activities to keep them, I guess, out of focus. But that's the job of a coach for all of us at this time of year.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And we have you on every week here on Inside the GIAA because you are our soccer correspondent. So you've been having an opportunity. I know you still got to focus on coaching the Stratford boys, but you've had an opportunity just to see the landscape of soccer in the GIAA in all classifications. And we're going to go ahead and pick up with the 3A boys. Right now, the number 1 team is Westminster Schools of Augusta, followed by Brookwood. St. Andrews, 2-8-1. They are ranked 3rd, but they've had a tough schedule. Talk about what you have, what's impressed you the most about 3A boys and who could come out on top at the end.
I think hands down, Westminster is Schools of Augusta. Sean Brown has done a fantastic job with that program. Westminster's always been kind of a powerhouse in the GIAA, but also going back in the GISA days. I mean, I'd say for argument's sake, I mean, we played them and we didn't have our best game, but certainly that's probably one of the best high school teams I've seen play in the last few years. So I think everyone in that classification is going to have their hands full with Westminster Schools of Augusta. I mean, Holy Spirit usually is the one that will be playing that has played them in the last, I think, 4 or 5 state title games, but they dropped down to 2A this year. I think Brookwood obviously is probably one of the biggest contenders, but one sleeper in there that I feel that might cause some problems for some teams that are seeded 2, 3, or 4 would be John Millage. John Millage has been playing in our district, and obviously going into the playoffs will drop down to 3A playoffs. And I mean our region is basically it's like cannibalism. We eat each other up, and they've got some talent on that team. So I would anticipate them making some noise. And then the records wise, I mean they're deceptive. I mean just because they've got losses, again, a lot of it depends on the region or district that they've been playing in. And John Millage at 3-10-2, that's very deceptive because they played Mount Sales twice, us twice, FPD twice, and they played some teams to overtime in Tatnall, FPD and Mountain Sales. They played them into overtime. So certainly I think it's going to be a very competitive break until we get to the state finals. And I do anticipate Westminster pulling it out. But again, you never say never. And I'm sure Sean knows that as well.
Yeah, and if Westminster Schools of Augusta is able to pull it off, that will be back-to-back championships, and they'll have a new opponent if they can get there because Holy Spirit Prep, who lost in the championship last year, is now in 2A. Let's go to 3A girls, Coach, because right now Frederica Academy is the top team in 3A. What's been your impression so far about the 3A girls, and who could come out on top here?
Again, I think Frederica are the favorites, but I got to watch them play early in the year. We were supposed to play Frederica, on the boys and girls side, and the boys unfortunately had to cancel due to injuries. But that girls side, I mean, it's it's a strong side. They've got a lot of good club players down in that area, and so I would pick Frederica, Lakeview, Deerfield, and St. Andrews to really be battling it out. Again, I'm going to go back to John Mills. John Mills has got a couple of plays that will cause some trouble, and they gave us some trouble at home when we went over there, and we actually pulled it out in overtime 3-2. But certainly, I think again, you got some schools that there might be some sleepers. I think Westminster Schools of Augusta, they were in the state finals last year, and so again, I think this might be the most competitive bracket out of all the classifications based on how teams are. And again, it's just, I think a lot of it for all the classifications is how well teams are preparing mentally to keep their kids focused, as we go into the latter part of the school year and then even past the end of the school year.
All right, Coach, let's talk 2A boys, because the defending champions, Westminster Christian, is ranked number 7. They've had a tough year so far, but you got 2 newcomers on the top, 2 teams that were in higher classifications last season. Holy Spirit Prep right now is the number 1 ranked team in 2A boys. They were the 3A runners-up, and Heritage, who was a 3A school last year, is number 2. Do you think it matters when you go down a classification? Do you feel that team has an advantage because they were once a 3A school, now they're a 2A school? Do you feel like because they have maybe the student enrollment and they've had an experience of playing in a higher classification that it's a little bit of an advantage for them?
I certainly do. I mean, I think, when you're talking about a school like Holy Spirit and Heritage, I mean, they live or they're located in areas where there's some high level club soccer, but so you can't eliminate, Sherwood Christian. I mean, they've got some good club soccer down in
Yes.
Albany, and likewise Central Fellowship. I mean, they've consistently over the last few years started to been developing some good players. They've got one of the best goalkeepers in the state, who I think is going to, when he is on, he's going to cause a lot of problems for teams. But I think Sam over at Holy Spirit, I mean, he's going to have those boys prepared. And they lost in penalty kicks to Westminster Schools of Augusta last year, and I mean that was probably one of the most exciting high school games I've seen in the last few years in regards to how competitive that game was. So I think again, you got a classification where you got the top 4 teams. I think on paper look like will be the ones that are going to be clawing it out. But again, I'm going to go back to the team that is most mentally prepared as the teams will be the teams that advance throughout the playoffs.
All right, Coach, and finally 2A girls. The defending champions are Central Fellowship Christian, and the runners-up were Westminster Christian. They so happen to be 1-2 in the polls, respectively. Are we looking like a collision course between Central Fellowship and Westminster, or could a team like Georgia Christian, Trinity Christian, or Sherwood Christian get to the championship this year?
Again, I'm going to go back. Certainly Central Fellowship, I've watched them twice now on the girls' side. They're very well coached. They've had a few injuries that have, I think has hindered them a little bit. But again, I think, Teddy and Darvin, who coaches the team, they've done a good job to schedule some tougher opponents. Obviously, they scheduled Stratford, and certainly, that game was competitive for parts of the game. Especially the second half, where I think they held Stratford to 1 goal. And then Westminster Christian, I mean, again, I watched them play Central Fellowship last year, very organized. The coach has done a great job with those girls. And but again, I'm just still going back to the mental preparation. If teams aren't prepared mentally, and they try to look ahead, I think we're again, we're going to be looking for some upsets. And but I do anticipate some really competitive games as we go into the playoffs and as we get to the state finals. I think it's going to be a great year, for GIAA soccer.
And by the way, Central Fellowship, not only they won a girls basketball championship, they're trying to win a soccer championship as well. And that would be 2 rings for Lois Tanner, the leading goal scorer for Central Fellowship, who had an integral part on the basketball team. In fact, when I saw who the leading goal scorer was for Central Fellowship, I'm like, oh, that name sounds familiar. Well, I helped call her name on the inside in the GIAA for the state championships at Columbus State for basketball. So that's pretty cool. Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate having you on Inside the GIAA. We're going to have you on all the way up until the championship week. Is there anything you want to add about soccer? Like, what are some of the logistics that your school has to prepare for getting ready for this championship that's going to be on the 27th and 28th? Last year it was on a Friday and Saturday. How are you guys adjusting to the schedule, it being during the week?
We the only way possible for us to host such an event is through the support of our families at Stratford. We've got a great facilities team. With Rob Fitzpatrick and his son Michael, who take care of our fields and do a great job with that. Our athletic director Barnon steps up and basically says, "Hey, what do you need? What do you need to make it happen?" We got a guy named John Walker. I mean, if you come on our campus, you're going to see John Walker walking around picking up trash, making sure that our facility looks top notch. Just the other day he was pressure washing our stands because he has great pride and want to make sure our facilities are taken care of. But we could not do this without the support of our soccer families. And Coach Kate and I have we grew up in an environment where whether it's girls or boys, we're here to support one another, and that's what we're going to do. No matter who's in the if both of us in the state championship game, or if one of us, or if none of us, we're going to make sure that our guests, when they come on our campus, remember what the experience is here, whether it's through, the seating that we have, whether it's just, the aura of our facilities. It's just something we want to make sure it's memorable, for the winning team or the losing team, because again, that day's a special day for all our guests.
Appreciate you, Coach. As Ian Jones, our soccer correspondent and head boys soccer coach of Stratford Academy. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we got more of Inside the GIAA here on GIAA.tv.
This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.tv, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the GIAA here on GIAA.tv. Thrift, Barringer, Richard Holdridge, and thank y'all so much for tuning in. Man, what an interview there that you just had with Ian Jones, breaking down all things soccer. And regular season ends this week, and can't wait for next week.
And I still forgot to ask him what his favorite Premier League team is. Obviously, this guy's from England. He loves soccer. I know. Is it Manchester United? Is it AFC Richmond? I'm just kidding. That's just a Ted Lasso reference. I'm sure he likes that show too.
You would be the Ted Lasso fan for sure, Rig Rich. All right, before we have on Derek Lashley from FPD, by the way, his girls and boys, they swept the 4A tennis state championship.
Clean sweep for FPD.
Can't wait to have him on to talk about that here in just a moment. But before that, I do want to talk about, we've had Clint Morgan and Kent Copeland. They have been all over the place. They still got track and field later this week. We've had golf and team tennis. Really individual or last week. It's busy time for the GIAA. All right, let's talk about those golf state champions, Richard. So, and girls, we had Rivers Academy
Yes.
as state champions. So congratulations
Yeah, nice.
to Rivers Academy winning the team golf state championship. For 2A boys, David Emanuel. Congratulations to David Emanuel for their state championship. And then for 3A boys, they're the #2 ranked team in the entire state, regardless of classification, regardless of the league, which is Brookwood. So how about Brookwood? And they're dominant 2025 campaign with a state championship, man. And I look, for someone that is good at putt-putt, but putt-putt is not golf, I commend all these golfers that go out and dominate, and we are seeing the stars of tomorrow doing a great job. So again, girls, Rivers Academy. 2A was David Emanuel for the boys, and 3A was Brookwood. So congratulations to those teams for winning state championships.
I do want to say, I think this was the golfer with the lowest score was Shep Davis from Brookstone, who actually Brookwood, he's shot a 70?
Yep.
So on actually Sim Knox, that is who shot that's the one who had the lowest score out of all the golfers in 3A.
Oh, congratulations to those golf state champions. And by the way, track and field is coming up literally tomorrow. So they got a break after golf was on Monday, tennis yesterday, and some, actually, I don't know if it was some today and yesterday. Let me look that up real quick. Actually, I just had that,
the
Richard.
team tennis. Individual was last week.
Yeah, so the individuals last week. Yeah, team tennis was yesterday and today. So I knew I was right about that. And track and field is tomorrow. And track and field will be at Strong Rock Christian in Locust Grove, a beautiful campus. So looking forward to seeing who's going to be the track and field state champions. We got a lot of people that were able to make it to state. So we're going to be cheering on all those classifications as they head in this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Strong Rock.
Yeah, they're already there at Strong Rock. The first meet that's going to kick off is the 2A girls pole vault at 9:30, followed by all the field events, the 1,600-meter run, the 1,600-meter run finals. So they'll have some trials. They'll have multiple runners in the lanes, and then like in the Olympics, they have like the different heats in like the different trials, and then they'll have the finals. The 4x800-meter relay finals, the relays are always fun. Passing the baton and just getting, and that's the most team sport when it comes to track and field, is that 4x100, 4x400, 4x800. I know I was a huge fan of watching the 4x100 relay growing up, watching the Olympics, and just seeing those fast sprinters and having to realize passing the baton. And that's where we get that from. And then we got the triple jump, the high jump, we got the shot put, the discus. I mean,
there's a ton of events.
So many great events.
And a lot of the field events will be happening on day 2, day 1. A lot of the hurdles and the 800-meter dash, the 1,600-meter relay. Day 3, we got the 200-meter run, 400-meter relay, and then we got the 100-meter hurdles, 110-meter hurdles, and then the 100-meter dash, along with some others. So that's going on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Strong Rock Christian in Locust Grove. All right.
Now. One more thing. The lacrosse championship is also going to be at Strong Rock, and that is going to be on May the 8th. And there is 5 teams that have a lacrosse team in the GIAA. They are George Walton, Johnson Ferry Christian Academy, Pinecrest, Stratford, and Strong Rock. I actually think with the right funding, that more GIAA teams will probably get a lacrosse team, because I know that these athletes, especially if there's only 5 teams, they want to try to win a championship. I think that lacrosse is a growing sport. I mean, we've seen it all around the state of Georgia, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you for throwing that out there, Richard. Again, May 8th is when that's coming up. That will be next Thursday. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring him to the stage, and there he is. He is the head coach of FPD Tennis.
There you go, Coach.
Congratulations, Coach, on the state.
Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, go ahead and get your first thoughts on being able to win not only boys but girls as well. What did that mean to you and your program?
Well, it's just a lot of hard work. Our kids are just really bought into the system. They play year round. They put a lot of hard work into the practicing. They love each other. They challenge each other. and they just, again, just buy into what we try to put out there, and just to have the boys and the girls to do something that we've never done before just speaks volumes of the care that they've put into this program. So I'm really just thankful and proud of all the kids that put in such a hard work this year for FPD tennis.
Coach, and what we like to do is kind of like give a background history instead of us asking a million questions. If you don't mind, if you can, brief synopsis wise, what led you to coaching tennis? Like, did you play when you were in high school and college? Is this something you've been doing your whole life? And just talk about what led you to FPD and tennis in general. So you can start from the beginning, man, and tell us your story.
Well, I mean, growing up in South Macon, everybody played Little League baseball and seasonal sports. And
Right.
my dad made me go play tennis after church every Sunday. And I just fell in love with it since then. And I didn't play high school, but I ended up playing college, a little JUCO level for Macon State College at the time. Played a little tennis there, had a lot of fun doing it. And when my oldest was born, we stayed in Macon, and once he was able to go to school, we found FPD. We felt like that was where God was calling us. The head coach of the tennis program was taking over a new role in the spring for new things for the school, and asked me if I wanted to coach tennis for the teams. And 18 years later, here I am with FPD tennis, both boys and girls, and middle school. So right now we have 44 kids playing tennis for us,
Wow.
grades 6 through 12, and just started a little Viking program that averages 10 to 15 kids, elementary through 5th grade. So just fell in love with it thanks to my dad. My boys loved it, and just really has exploded since day one, since we were FPD.
Coach, it's been a great last couple of weeks for FPD for tennis, because not only did you win the individual, it's a clean sweep. Scott and Jones won the individual championship for the girls doubles. And then you also had Lashley and Scott win for the boys doubles.
Yeah.
How did winning those individual accolades help you prepare for the team tennis championship?
Well, these kids are so advanced and talented that when we put out our lineups or think about strategy, we've got kids across the board that can play multiple of positions in singles or doubles. And so when we put together our boys doubles teams, we felt like with Ethan and Jonathan at that spot, we felt like we had two kids that could really do a great job. And man, they wiped the floor and did great for us, to the point we kept them at team at one doubles, and I don't think gave up 4 or 5 games the entire tournament. As far as the girls, Avery, our senior, won it last year with one of our young girls that graduated already, and she played a lot of singles this year, and we wanted to give her a chance to repeat, to give her a chance to do that. And so we pulled out one of our girls in singles as well to play with her. And I don't think anybody in the entire state could have beat those two. I think they gave up one game the entire tournament. And man, it was the best tennis I think I've ever seen in 18 years of FPD tennis history. It was unbelievable watching them play the kind of tennis they were playing.
Well, Coach, when you talk about strategy when it comes to team tennis, the goal is you're working together as a team. Yes, you have your individual players, but all these matches are going simultaneously. What's going through the head of a coach when you got like your team out there and they are playing multiple matches? You don't really know what's going on one court because you're focused on the other court. Just describe what it's like in the mindset of a coach when team tennis is going on.
And shout out some of your assistants too, Coach, if you have any.
Oh gosh, yeah, Carl Hodge, the GOAT. What he has done in our program, he is more of our technician, getting these kids ready as far as technique goes from feet to head. My oldest son got a chance to coach with us this year. He played 4 years of college at Covenant College. He brought in his doubles expertise to help our doubles kids. And then Ellen Thomas helped with our middle school program, and she did an amazing job with the middle schoolers. as far as the strategy goes, we just try to put the kids in the right spots. That it's hard to think about 10 matches going on at one time. Trust me, I put it in my steps today. That's for sure. Walking from court 8 to court 24 was a lot of walking today, a lot of anxiety, especially when your own child is out there playing
Right.
in a critical spot. But I'm blessed. I'm kind of spoiled at a few spots in the lineup to where some of these kids, I've really let go and let them do their thing, because I know walking on the court, I feel very confident in what they're going to do, and pull out some crucial wins for us. No disrespect to their opponents, but a couple of these kids are just had some amazing seasons for us, to where I can get into our crucial spots, because when myself and Coach Carl will get together and pre-match strategy, we'll talk about, okay, you're going to be at these courts with these kids. I'm going to stay at these courts with these kids, so that we can keep an easy flow going, and not rotate and overlap each other, so that he could work his magic with singles, and I can be there with the doubles, and kind of make sure that we're on the same path of the strategy we've been focused on. And I promise you, we've been talking this since the first day of school. Our lineup has kind of been in our head, thinking about who we're going to put where. A lot of kinks need to be figured out. Obviously, the UTR ratings played a huge role in it too. But to know that all this came to fruition, we changed the lineup backwards and forwards, but at the end of the day, we put the right girls in the right spot, the right boys in the right spot, to where we figured it out, came on top, and just so thrilled. And when you get to enjoy it with your son, well, both your sons actually, it's just icing on the cake for me.
And I'm glad you just made mention of that, Coach. And that's where I want to ask, what it mean to you to see your son, both your sons, win a state championship, but one of them winning the single state championship, or excuse me, the double state championship as well. Talk about what that meant to coach your sons, because I'm always interested, because we've had several coaches here that it could be a unique thing. Your dad at home, your coach, when it's tennis time. So talk about that unique dynamic you have, and then also talk about what it's like being at FPD and why that's such a special school.
Man, I tell you, the FPD is a blessing. What they've done for my family, the education in the classroom, Dr. Patterson leading our program, Coach Moore in the athletic department, and all the fabulous teachers and admin support. What they've done for the school has been incredible. My son is first year medical at Mercer University, and he gives a lot of credit to the science department at FPD. That a lot of things that came easy for him is because of the science program. And then with my youngest in there, the kids that he's with, the challenges that he's faced in these classes, but also the challenges he's accepted as far as the Bible classes, and the things behind the scenes, as far as really attaching his faith, is really important to us, and I'm thankful for that. Is um, Coaching your children is tough, man. It's hard to be dad and coach at the same time. As a dad, I'm so proud and thankful he's out there. As his coach, I want to go lose my mind when he does something that he's not supposed to do. But at the end of the day, it's just a joy to embrace his wins and his defeats, but because I love him unconditionally in what he's done for our program. I mean, he's a ninth grader, and he's already won 2 state championships with the help of the rest of his team. Of course, it's a team of 14 on the varsity boys team, and so. Um, but I will say this, and with my oldest, unfortunately, I didn't really get to watch a lot of their tennis. I had so many matches going on that I trusted my children to do what we trained so hard to do during the off season, that I only really got to see them play as whenever they clinched it, or if the matches were already pretty much over, or there were other matches I didn't need to focus on, because I think they understood and respected that if 2 doubles was struggling, they knew that dad or coach needed to be there and get those kids to win for the program. So, but gosh, it's so much fun just to have these memories with my children. I can't put into words how much I love spending that time with my boys out there.
That's awesome, Coach. And those are the stories we like telling right here on inside the GIAA, man. So thank you so much for joining us. You're coaching one of the top programs, not just in the GIAA, but the entire state of Georgia. You're doing it right, Coach. Congratulations again on both winning girls and boys. And
Thank you.
Look forward to maybe seeing you next year, man.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Go Vikings.
That is Coach Derek Lashley of FPD. And from one coach, let's go ahead and go to the next. Richard, from William and Reed, his name is Carter McKenzie. And let's go ahead and bring him on. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
No doubt, man. And congratulations on winning the state championship. I called you today, man. I know it's been a long last couple of days for you and Coach Lashley, but let's go ahead and get your initial thoughts, what it meant for you and your program to come out on top here today.
Yeah, man. What a blessing. This is not our first go around with this tournament. This is the 7th state championship we've won for GIAA.
Wow.
And just as blessed and fortunate and thankful as the first time. It's been an honor to watch these kids be able to play and compete on the court these past couple days, despite the early mornings and the late nights. So still taking it in. We just rolled in not too long ago up here in North Georgia, but man, it's been an awesome 2 days.
No doubt about it, Coach. And I know you're excited to win another state championship, but talk about some of those key contributors and those guys that have been working their tail off all season long to help you win the boys 3A state championship.
Sure. We've been very fortunate to have a strong tennis program for the last several years. But some of those guys who came in clutch today, Maddox Iliescu, one of the best singles players I've ever seen. Just so solid and smooth and confident on the court. I've got a young 8th grader, Evan Lee. We started calling him the assassin today. Awesome to see a young kid like that go toe-to-toe against guys much older and bigger and stronger than him and be solid. And then, we had some great doubles teams, Ben and Mateo holding it down. They did well at the state individual championship last week as well. Just solid guys you can rely on whenever the matches begin.
Yeah, I tell you what, your efforts in the individual championships really paid off because you talked about Maddox Iliescu, who was the individual champion. And then I'm just looking at the bracket. I mean, there were so many of the members of the team that were in the individual bracket and having to face each other. But just talk about what that meant to have a guy like Evan Lee and Maddox Iliescu just right there at the end and actually getting prepared for doubles. And then when you get ready for team tennis as well, I mean, you got like tennis players out there that are competing in 3 events.
Right. I'm a teacher too. It's a lot of school missed for these kids right at the end of the year, but yeah, what an awesome opportunity for them to, kind of get sharpened up. State individual is a really cool opportunity too, because you can try out new stuff with your players who maybe these guys who play year-round tennis get pigeonholed to just being a singles player forever, right? If they're going to go do that in college. And can mix it up in the individual. And that's what it's all about, right? At the end of the day, we got into coaching because, we love watching kids play sports, right? And the growth that comes with playing team sports. And so if we can, kind of mold our situations to help them continue their love for the sport even more, what a blessing. But yeah, they definitely got to, sharpen their iron last week at state individual and that paid off today.
And Coach, we probably should have started off with this question, but it's okay. It's going to be one of the final questions. I want you to tell your story, man. Same thing I just said about Coach Lashley. Did you play tennis? Why did you start loving tennis? He told me that his dad used to take him growing up, and now he's been there for 18 years. What's your story? What led you to now William and Reed and being the head coach there? So start from the beginning, man, and tell us everything about you, dude.
Sure. So I played tennis through high school. I was an okay player. A lot of my boys now are far better than I ever was. I was a lacrosse player at heart, and that's what I wanted to pursue. And then I got my first teaching job out of college at William and Reed. And that school completely changed my life. Made me fall in love with education and having the ability to, impact and influence these kids and build relationships there. And then we were a new school, we're in our 11th year. So we're still kind of young compared to a lot of others. And I got to be part of the crew that helped get our athletics program off the ground. And so when you work in a small school, and a lot of people in GIAA will be familiar with this, you work in a small private school, you wear a lot of hats.
Yep.
And that's just how it is. So it was like, my boss was like, "Hey, you're 24. Would you like to start our athletics program?" And I was like, "Cool, let's do it, man." And that's how I got wrangled into being tennis coach here. Sometimes I'm glorified van driver, but it's a blessing to be with those kids. And been here 9 years ever since. And we have a stout program, and it's an awesome way to end the spring semester.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you get off like that, Coach. You're more than a van driver. You got, just like Coach Lashley, one of the top programs in the entire state. I don't care if it's GHSA or the GIAA, and that is credit to you because, again, you may not have all the resources some of the bigger schools have. Doesn't matter. You still make do with what you got, and now you got a dominant program that's winning state championships. Richard.
Yeah, Coach, you talk about William and Reed Academy being a new school. It's only been around for 11 years. They've only had sports for about 9 years. Talk about what William and Reed, going to William and Reed, what makes it so special? Why would somebody want to go to this school?
Sure. After college, when I was shopping around and looking for a teaching job, once I decided on education, I kind of got burnout, and maybe perhaps I knew right away my career was not going to lie in a big public school for a number of reasons, and ended up at an interview at William and Reed, and fell in love with the vision that our head of school, Hunter Cluthy, has for education. And we value kids' times, and there's value in kids being kids. And so I saw a place where I could be authentic as myself, where kids are encouraged to be authentic, where we get to encourage kids to advocate for themselves. And I get to be excited to go to work, right? I'm 32 years old, and a lot of my friends are working jobs that they hate, right? And I look forward to going to my job every single day, and I'm going to hold on to that as long as I can. So the ability to build relationships with these kids, and then adding in the sports aspect, it just levels up everything, right? So get to see them in the classroom, and then see them, perform on the court. Just unbelievable blessing to be able to see that. And we had a local community coach who believed in the school's model and core values. And Sue Johnston, she is a credit to getting the caliber of tennis players at our school. And we built it, and they came, and so far they've kept coming.
Well, Coach, thank you so much. Congratulations on winning another state championship, man. Another dominant program, continuing their sustained success, man. That's what I always say for all sports. It's one thing winning once, but you continuously do it and sustain that success. That shows you're doing something right, and you're a heck of a coach. So thank you so much, Coach McKenzie. Congratulations to you and your boys, and look forward to maybe seeing you next year, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
That is Coach Carter McKenzie. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up here on Inside the GIAA, presented by the Beck Center.
GIAA.tv now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.tv Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.tv Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.tv Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.tv Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.tv Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.tv.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the GIAA here on GIAA.tv. It's Thrift. It's Rich. Man, what a show.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go ahead and wrap up what we got coming up here for the rest of the week. We got track and field coming up this week, lacrosse next Thursday. You got track and field Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week. And then you got soccer 27th and 28th. That'll be at Stratford. And then 29th to the 31st in Novus Park, home for the baseball state championships.
We'll put a bow on it. The GIAA spring schedule will be officially over. And then before you know it, the fall schedule will be here. And we'll have a little bit of a break in the summertime. But yeah, we're gonna hit the ground running. I tell you what, I learned something today. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I didn't realize how dominant William & Reed Academy was in tennis because I was trying to see how come I never heard of this GIAA school? Well, they have tennis, but they don't really have much of a basketball team. They're actually what's called a freelance. They're not in the GIAA. And so sometimes these smaller schools, they'll compete in the GIAA in some sports, and then they'll be freelance in other sports.
Awesome. Well, we had a lot of fun talking with Carter McKenzie. Thank you to him. Thank you to Derek Lashley. Congratulations to both those teams on winning the 3A boys and the 4A girls and boys for Coach Lashley state championships. Also, I did want to kind of touch a bow and wrap up all the state champions. So FPD won boys and girls in 4A. William & Reed won 3A boys state championship. Rivers Academy won the 3A girls state championship. The 2A boys state championship was the Heritage School. The 2A girls state championship was Southwest Georgia. And the Class 1A boys, LaGrange Academy. And the Class 1A girls, Grace Christian. So congratulations to all those teams on winning the team state championship. We want to say thank you again to Derek Lashley, Carter McKenzie. Also thank you to Coach Ian Jones, our soccer contributor. We'll be talking to him for the next couple of weeks. Thank you to everyone at the GIAA. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time on ITG Inside the GIAA on GIAA.tv.